Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode 8 of In at the Side. I'm joined by Neil Williamson and Russian Rugby Captain Vasily Artemyev. How are you this evening, Vasily?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, I'm sitting at home for 15th day, I think.
15th day. So are you in
15th
lockdown then?
consecutive. No, it's a little longer now. We're on the lockdown now since I think it's almost 2 weeks. Full isolation in Moscow anyway. So I do get to go out. I don't live in a flat like most people in Moscow. I do live outside, so I do have a back garden to go to and a little football field nearby where I can go do some running. So it does keep my head in the right place.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that you're on lockdown because from over in England, the news we're hearing that Russia effectively hasn't had any cases. I don't know whether that's the fact of the matter or whether it's just being not reported correctly.
No, I think the number is up to about 10,000 now. Not too many deaths, I think, officially. Anyway, that's what we gather here. But we have been put on a lockdown rather early, I think, before the toll rose. So I think that was a good thing, probably from the point of view of the speed at which the numbers grow. So yeah, it has been quite strict, not like full on, not go outside. You still can go to shops. Some people still do go to work. My wife is a doctor. She doesn't work with the infectious diseases, but she's a dermatologist. But she still works as usual. So
So just talk about obviously your rugby career. Started off at University College in Dublin. How did that come about? Was it you just chose to study there, or?
Actually, it's the rugby itself started, I think, at the age of 7 or 8, right here in just outside of Moscow, northwest of Moscow, town of Zelenograd. Underage rugby has been quite notorious in the town for I think over 50 years now.
Wow.
So I happened to be born here, so I picked up rugby, and then at the age of 15. My parents wanted me to study abroad for a year, and just randomly they picked Ireland, and randomly we picked Blackrock College, which obviously quite a notorious place for rugby for Ireland and the world, I think. So that's how I ended up in Ireland, and instead of a year, I ended up spending I think almost 7 years there.
Wow, 7 years.
Excellent. So you like your Guinness and been over there for that amount of time.
I still love it, and I haven't grown. I haven't grown out of it, so I still do enjoy it.
Perfect. So, what are you doing to stay active in lockdown at the moment? I mean, you mentioned you've got a park you can go to and things like that. Are you trying to keep your training going? Are you trying to focus on next year?
It's actually the Russian kind of club rugby season. It did used to run from spring to autumn, so it used to run throughout the whole summer. I think that's the best time to play rugby, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we have decided, I think last year the union decided to transfer to kind of a rather more common time frame from autumn to run through to the following spring, with a kind of a rather longer break in the winter because of the weather conditions over here. It's something like what Russian soccer did, I think about 8-10 years ago. So yeah, we're in this transition year. We're due to start. So this is going to be like a 1.5 year long season, with the 3 kind of parts to it. So we were due to start in April, which we're not going to anymore. It's been postponed for over a month to due to start now end of May. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it does, but obviously there's going to be some changes made to it. So we were due to play our first 9 games in the spring and start of the summer. So the most clubs have done their preseason. Most clubs, my new club, they've spent over a month in South Africa preparing for.
Wow.
They had to cut short their rugby camp in South Africa actually because of the whole thing. South Africa was going on a lockdown as well, and I think they were just on the kind of last few planes, like regular flights, that were arriving in Russia before most of the planes were cancelled. So they were lucky, and they were put on compulsory lockdown, like something like when police comes to check on you that you actually following the rules. That's what before the official lockdown was introduced anyway. So so obviously we have been training for the season after the national team stuff finished, but now it's just kind of keeping yourself in shape, keeping your mind a little in the right place as well. I mean, I've been blessed to spend so much time with the family, with a young daughter and wife as well, because it hasn't happened, I think, never probably. I've been married for 6 years and I haven't spent that much time at home, without going somewhere. So it's been good. It's been good from that perspective. But for us like sports people, we're used to do things, to be active, and it does take its toll, kind of being sitting most of the day at home. So the training does keeps my mind fresh. Yes, it does.
So what's the standard of the league over there? Are you all full-time players, or do you have some part-time, or?
Most, the top division does has been professional for, I don't know, since early 2000, maybe. It has experienced some difficult years. So in the past, notoriously there was about 3 or 4 clubs that were kind of similar enough in standard. With probably Yenisei, one of the Siberian clubs, have been in the challenge club circuit for the last several years, and the club I used to play for, the other Siberian-based club, Krasny Yar, was, I think, spent one year as well in the Challenge Cup. So it's a decent enough season, probably kind of championships type standard.
Okay.
But it's been positive development in the union in the last 2 years, I think, a year and a half, 2 years, just before the World Cup, maybe like a few months before the World Cup. We got a new president of the union. We've got a new support from the government, big influx of sponsorship money, which have been, so every club has found a new sponsor, commercial sponsors as well. And so the league has extended from 6-8 clubs to 10 clubs for the first time in the modern history as well. So this year is going to be 10 professional clubs as well. So which is it's looking good. It's a one way for us to grow the sport in the country and to grow the national team. We need to improve the internal competition. Exactly. We don't have that many players playing abroad, so we do need to raise the standard of the league.
It's good you touched on that, and obviously with the World Cup that happened last year, obviously Russia had some absolutely fantastic performances in that World Cup. I would try to watch every game as much as I could before work, was jumping up and down in front of the telly. Now, my question around that is, do you think that Russia, long term, are going to see a boost from the last World Cup in terms of maybe grassroots players taking it up and people taking up the sport as a whole in the country?
We're in this kind of similar position about 8 years ago when we first at the World Cup in 2011. And it did have a very kind of rather high hopes for the sport to kick off and take off. Although it didn't quite do that. We went back to that kind of stagnation period. Sport in Russia in general, it does require kind of funding from budgetary and government funds, etc. It's not it's hard to be a fully commercial kind of organization playing professional sports in Russia. So, now with the support that we get now with the union, with the powers that it possesses now, I think it's got all the tools for to put that funding in the right areas. And we're already seen, there's going to be a league for the for the young professionals. I think for under 21s kind of pro league, pretty much for the A teams. Like every club, most clubs will have like a development side now, so they're going to have a competition for them. So that will give the chance for those players to play, because that's usually a problem for the younger generation. They need match experience, and don't have the same kind of spread of the sport as the UK or Ireland. So it's hard to find match experience for them. So this is going to be touched on, and then the under 20s and the under 18s have been they've been organized much better. They've already had a few camps in France, abroad, inside of Russia and abroad, playing some. So it's been good. We're going to host. I think Kaliningrad was going to host. That's like the most western city in Russia. A great football stadium where the Soccer World Cup was held, and we played at that ground against Portugal this year, which is amazing. We had about a good turnout of people, about 15,000 people there. And this year was going to be the second year that the under 18s trophy was going to be held there. And last year, surprisingly, like crowds of 10,000 people turned up at some games, which is really good.
That's
so
great.
this does give a boost, and not notorious, not like a rugby cities like Kaliningrad. They haven't been spoiled by that much sport, but there's big stadium there. There's a football club that does kind of reasonably well, but it's not in the top league, and so rugby could be another sport that's that could really take off over there. It's a big city as well. So it's been postponed, obviously, the trophy. So we're going to wait another year probably for a competition like that to be hosted in Russia. But this is I can see positive changes, definitely, and with the social media and everything at our hands grasp away from us, the work is being done at the moment for the rugby to prosper.
That's good.
Sorry, Tom. Just touching on that point there, it's something that I've just thought of. Would you like to see the likes of Russia come into something similar to the Six Nations in the future? I mean, there's talk of other European nations coming in to make a bigger league. Is that something that you think would drive it in Russia, and something you'd like to see happen?
Well, it's definitely going to take time. I know there's been conversations about Georgia already kind of being there. They're pushing Italy for the spot. But still, this is Six Nations is one of the most successful kind of commercial tournaments. So there's going to be there has to be a commercial. What's the word I'm looking for?
It needs to be commercially viable for everyone, doesn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, it has to be commercially viable for the people who are running it, for people who have invested money into it. So I'm not. Is Georgia ready as a market, as a commercial market, to generate profits for them? I'm not sure. It's up to them to decide. But are they ready? Are they ready in terms of rugby? Probably are. The more they play these Tier 1 nations, the better they will become ultimately, and they already shown it, and they all are already challenging whenever they get a chance. So we're in a similar situation. The more we get the chance to play against better sides, Tier 1 nations, or they're like nations like Japan, for example. They've the massive progress they've made over 8 years, when they were losing to New Zealand by 90 points, and then this triumph at the pool stage, and a great game in the quarterfinals against South Africa, against the champions, the future champions. So I want to see one day Russia to kind of be where Georgia is now. So we're kind of following their hope that we're following their footsteps. Although we do have a different route. We don't have all our players playing abroad. We do have a domestic league. I think we have. That's why we're slightly different, and that we're taking our own path in developing of this sport. But I do think we can be very successful in Russia in terms of generating popularity for this sport. I think everything is in front of us. We just need to put the right work, have a long-term strategy, and put the work in.
Yeah. So you talk about having your domestic league growing very strong, developing, having an A-side competition. Do you think obviously you played at Northampton for 2 seasons or 3 seasons, I think it was. Do you think that sending young players away to gain experience in other leagues is going to help benefit that league as well? Or would you say keep them domestically and try and build the national team that way?
Well, I think sending the players abroad will definitely help the national team, like it does help in Georgia, for example. We already spoke about it. For the national league, I think we already have some number of foreign players. There's obviously a limit to it. I think this year, the limit last year was extended because of the World Cup, because all the national team players were away. So most, the clubs with a big number of national team players were struggling during the season because we were away. So the number was, I think it's 8 players in the squad, and it was 5 players on the field simultaneously last year, and I think it was extended to 6 players simultaneously, and I think 9 players in the squad. So the level of players that we invite has to be good. It has to be. It shouldn't be just.
Where do you see those getting pulled from? What countries?
Well, 1-2 years ago, mostly were from Eastern Europe, Georgia, Moldova. Not many from a kind of usual rugby playing countries, but some of. Now we have built a quite a strong connection with South Africa actually.
Okay.
And a lot of the clubs have turned towards South Africa and looking for players there. And so I think there's a bit about an equal kind of number of Georgians and South Africans at the moment in the league. So most clubs have found some playmakers, because there's a lot of young guys in South Africa just after uni or at uni who are keen to come out and get out of the comfort zone of their own country and play. So, and a lot of them show some good rugby, and that's what will make our league more exciting as well, having those players in the league. And it will help to raise the level of the players around them. It's like kind of snowball effect.
Excellent. No worries. Now, in terms of isolation, obviously we've got a lot of players out there. This is aimed more towards grassroots and people missing playing for their local clubs. Is there any tips you've got for players and how to hone your skills, or perhaps stay fit whilst you're in isolation if you're within your 4 walls?
It's a tough one because we don't know when it all is going to end, obviously. Well, I do know that for an athlete, if you're obviously you're watching your what you eat. Obviously, you're not. Let's say that you actually do. You are serious about your rugby, about your sport. So you do watch what you do and what you eat, and you do try to exercise as much as you can. If there's a certain kind of minimum limit that if you do complete those minimum number of training sessions, it's not going to take long for you to regather your fitness level once you're out, once you're playing. There is some scientific research about it. So, 2-3 training sessions, even if it's at home, even if it's some kind of, there's so much information now available. So 2-3, even 3, maybe 4 training sessions, 20 minutes long a week will keep you at a certain level, and you will be able to regather and get the fitness back when you're there. So don't worry too much about it. Just worry about how you eat and how you sleep, and that's you should be okay. It's perfect time to do something that you've been postponing actually. If you've been postponing guitar lessons, that's a good time. If you've been putting away reading some book that you've wanted to read, I think it's a great time to do that. So that's I'm trying to catch up on a few things, and I've been asked to do a few things on the internet. So I'm just preparing a lecture on kind of rugby history as well, history of rugby and history of rugby in education in the UK. So I've been all day today I've been doing this research and reading. So it's good to keep your kind of mind busy.
That's one of the positives, isn't it? That everyone's doing more stuff they've been putting off or haven't done. I mean, I've turned my hand to started doing some sketches again. I haven't drawn in 30 years, you know, and all of a sudden I've started picking a pencil up, and just it's amazing what boredom will do for you. But I don't know if you noticed, Dom's sporting a very streamlined haircut. He had a bet with Jack, one of the other panelists of the day, and they flipped a coin on it, and Dom lost, so he had to shave his hair. I noticed you still got yours. Have you been tagged in any videos by any rugby players you play with, trying to get him to shave it?
I haven't, and I try to stay away from those type of challenges. You know, my wife isn't happy with this mustache that's been stuck too long under my nose. It's been way overdue to shave it, but I can do it now because you know they want to understand. That people want to understand. I have so much support for this tash. So, and even my daughter says don't shave it because she's only 5, and she says she won't recognize me if I do. So the only person that's not happy is my wife actually.
You should make your own Instagram post for it.
Probably, yeah. Another week, and I'll make an Instagram for several things in my house. I think, and my dog as well.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of posts. People are doing the isolation beer challenge where they shave it and then try.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Possible. Well, I'm not shaving it. I'll look about 12, but I'm just going to grow it as long as I possibly can. I have got one scenario for you. I've been putting forward to a lot of our guests we've had on many podcasts recently. So here's the situation. You're in isolation, right? You've got to be in isolation with one player you either play with currently or used to play with, right? And you can't leave the house at all. You've got to be there for 2 weeks solid. People are bringing you food. Now, which player that you've played with or currently play with would be the absolute worst person to have in that isolation? Who would you hate to have there with you for 2 weeks, and why?
Oh, okay. Are we staying in the same room as well?
It's a studio flat. You cannot get away from this person at all.
It's a tough one. Well, I could say who was actually I'd probably be the same person, like the best and the worst. One of my best friends in rugby and in life, Andrei Ostrikov. He played for Sale Sharks. He plays in Grenoble now in France. He actually be a good person to call because he's been stuck for over 3 weeks now in France in isolation. So I can give you his contact. He's very keen. He's very keen into his films. So he's got a huge. I think he has got an Instagram account for his kind of film review as well. So he does all these posts. He doesn't have too many subscribers, but he does do a good reviews, and so he obviously knows how to spend some pastime watching film. He analyzes them really well. So it's nice to talk with him. But he'll be the worst person to stay and sleep in the same room because I've been on many rugby camps and we stayed together, we roomed together, and he sleepwalks. He does crazy stuff at night. So it's something that you don't want to be sleeping in the same room with this guy because I've been woken up a number of times with him just dragging me off the bed by my leg, and he was in his sleep obviously, and he's a 2 meter tall guy, 130 kilos. And you don't want to mess with him, that kind of stuff. So I don't know what he's going to do. I managed to wake him up most times, but I was just hoping, one night I won't be able to wake him up. I don't know what's going to happen. So, well, it sounds like you're both like.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, it sounds like he and I get on very well. I mean, I'm a massive film buff as well, so that's the one thing that's been keeping me going really in isolation. But yeah, I mean, any contacts you can give us, we'll take. And I'm sure a lot of rugby players will be bored at the moment and want to talk to us.
Yeah, I will. I will send the contacts to see if he wants to do it. We did a Zoom chat, a group chat on Zoom online for Russian rugby as well. He was on it. Just chatted for over an hour about stuff. It was online, so we couldn't really curse. I was hoping to have some really kind of free chat. And then kind of beep out the cursing, but at the end it was quite good. So maybe he'll be on because usually he's quite shy, but he was online and no problem. Maybe he'll play guitar for you or something.
Perfect. We'll take him up on that. I mean, we've been doing once a Friday or every Friday we've been doing a Dodgers bar, if you like, which is a similar sort of thing. Everyone goes online via Skype normally, gets a few drinks, and just sit there and chat the early hours. I mean, Dom, what time did you finish last Friday?
It was like 3:30 a.m. I think we were on till.
I do have in about an hour. My friends, I live in the same, not rugby friends, but my friends from school and stuff. We do actually go to a bar, and I do like to have a pint of Guinness or Kilkenny. Actually, I do love Kilkenny. And we've been for 2 weeks now. We've been chatting over Zoom as well, and we do have a group chat tonight as well. I don't have any beer though, so I don't know.
It doesn't feel like beer when you're drinking it over Skype. So
I know.
You stand up and you're like, oh. You've ended up having 10 cans, and it's just like drinking juice.
Yeah, I might have a quick run to the shops now before it starts.
Lovely. All right. Thank you very, very much for your time, Vasily. Is there anything else you want us to touch on, or anything questions you got for us?
No, guys, it's good talking to you. I'm actually, I really enjoyed this. So
great. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll have to get you back on maybe when the rugby season started.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep you informed, and maybe we'll get some exposure for the Russian Rugby League as well, and then
definitely.
I think they're gonna film it. I think they've already organized and hired a professional filming company. They want gonna make a product so they can put it out on the telly and stuff. So it's another step in getting it on television. The great thing that helped this World Cup was televised completely free on the national channels, not on the pay-per-view on national channels. So this was huge in terms of popularity, because people were easily available, all matches.
Yeah.
So this is huge.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Bye.